announce the Republican candidate for New York City Comptroller, Peter Kefalas.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me here, guys. So as you know, I'm running for Comptroller, not only on the GOP, but as in the conservative line as well. So I've been fortunate to get the endorsement across the city from both parties, which is very humbling. And I am expecting to go against either Councilman Brennan or the Borough President of Manhattan, Mr. Levine. And one's a Marxist, one's a socialist, in my opinion. They want to defund the police, defund all the uniform services. And what I want to do for Queens in particular is audit the MTA, because there's a lot of, whether you're on the train or you take the bus and the bus and the train, we have some of the longest commutes in the city, unfortunately. A lot of breakdowns. Our infrastructure is crumbling, and obviously the subway system and the buses, sadly, are not safe for any of us. And it's something I worry about. My wife takes the train. My mother doesn't anymore, but I do sometimes. I take the train with my guys, and we're not timid, but we see a lot of crazy things on the train, and it doesn't have to be late at night. It can be in broad daylight. So we have to fix that. We have to audit where the money's going. We know that the last and current administration have been gung-ho to spend money on criminals, criminal aliens. We're subsidizing these international crime syndicates at the Roosevelt Hotel. Queens in particular is very sad because there's not many hotels or motels left that have not been turned into some sort of shelter. It's very sad, but everywhere we go, shelter upon shelter. Some neighborhoods obviously have it a lot worse than others. I spent the last year trying to fight one that was 100-man, we believe, transitioning from a prison in Regal Park, in our only hotel that's fairly new. Unfortunately, we got steamrolled by Dictator Adams, and there was one across the street that came up, an even larger one that's a family one, so we weren't too concerned about that. But 100 men that are this close to a park that my mom used to take myself and my little brother to, a senior center, a pre-K that I used to go to school myself. And I used to play there. I didn't have a jump shot like Kenny DeJet Smith, who went there, but I used to play there as a place that kids. It's being renovated for a long time, behind schedule, over budget. What a surprise. But eventually it will open and become a place that kids can stay off the streets. There's a PAL program there, a senior center, et cetera, pre-K. And the fact that we have 100 men that are, not from the neighborhood, we don't know who they are. We were just told, accept them, they'll be okay. We have 35 cameras and 2 security guards. It's not a good feeling. There was, just as a matter of fact, this morning, 2 guys pulled guns and robbed someone right in front of that shelter in the Burger King parking lot at about 7:45 this morning. So my mother showed me the, I think, Citizens app or patch that she was watching. There was another robbery in Forest Hills the other day with a gun, and another one in Regal Park the other day. Yeah. We do have a new commander in the 112th precinct. So about a month and a half ago, I started noticing the last month at night, the cops were driving around with the lights on. To me, it was just odd, so I just happened to call the front desk of the precinct. I said, how many serial killers are loose? 1 or 2? He said, what do you mean? So you got the lights on. Like, I'm not used to seeing this unless when I'm in South America, the police do that a lot. They just drive around at night. But he said, no, we're just letting the bad guys know it's hot. And I was like, okay, that's great. Unfortunately, it was after our big crime wave we've had. A lot of push-ins, a lot of seniors have been robbed, a lot of bad things have been happening, and a lot of it you don't read in the general paper. You have to get one of those community newspapers that come out on Friday, like the Ledger or the Chronicle. You see what's really happening, because I think the administration likes to hide it and make us look like it's a little safer, but obviously they're hiding some bad stuff. So we have a problem as well. The police are running out of resources. There is one cop who spoke. They didn't say who he was, just his first name was Pat, but there was an article. He needs 8 cops for a densely populated area of Manhattan that has about, I think, 47,000 people, and they're down to 2 to 4 cops, 1 to 2 police cars. They have 5 to 6 calls that are on the back because they cannot get to them all on time, so they have to take the more serious one first, and they have a backlog, each squad car, 5 or 6 calls at a time, so they have to prioritize. So obviously we know the cops have been poached by federal law enforcement, New Jersey, Westchester, Long Island, all over the country. And I just met with minus the PB, I met with all the police unions recently to ask for their endorsement, the detectives, the captains, the lieutenants, yes. So I'm confident I'll get it, we think we will, since I'm the only one who's saying I want to fund them and not defund them. We can't defund the fire department also. The 2 gentlemen that I am expecting, one of them will be my opponent, want to slash everything across the board. They both want to fund HPD a lot, which is another thing, but they both want to cut, one wants to fund the police, one wants to cut all uniform services across the board.
Oh my goodness.
So when you have an exodus of police, and you have an exodus of trained, seasoned police. We don't have enough, there's a thin blue line. We don't have enough police here to take care of us. After 2 or 3 years, the cops here are considered seasoned, and they poach them, and they'll take them as quick as Nassau, or close as Nassau, Suffolk, or as far away as California, or a lot of other places. So it's a big problem that the union of the police department was telling me, the supervisors, and they want to be able to have more training, more money to keep seasoned people, train the new people, because they're losing a lot of folks. This particular article, I believe the gentleman said they were losing about 20 cops a year in that command, which is a lot for one precinct, one command. So we know that our infrastructure needs a lot of work, and we know that we have a lot of, unfortunately, not only waste, but fraud. But at the end of the day, what's worse, incompetence or theft? At the end of the day, our money disappears that we worked hard for, and I don't know what's worse, theft or incompetence. Either which way, the money disappears and it's not being used on us. And now we're seeing that we're spending more per capita on kids here in New York, and our kids are reading at 40%, 30%, 45%, whatever article you want to see, whatever's so accurate, but they're reading below where they should. We're not getting the bang for the buck, and we have to do something. I believe that if we don't fix the current trajectory that this city's on, we're going to see more of our friends, more of our neighbors, more of our coworkers, and more importantly, a lot of businesses that are going to say adios, and they're going to go to Texas, the Carolinas, Florida, and they take those jobs, they take those revenue, and they take those indirect jobs that they bring to the city. And then what happens when the city's broke? Like we're seeing now, our property tax goes up, the cost of everything else is going up. We've already been battling inflation, sadly. So something has to get done in the private sector. You don't have the luxury of mismanaging money. When I ran a lot of domestic, international, multinational companies and had these audits done, these forensic, audits with CPAs and bookkeepers, they got back to my team and we'd see where all the money went. And if something's missing, well, we got to find it because someone's going to be in trouble. So they don't have the luxury in the private sector of squandering people's money that, unfortunately, our elected officials have been getting away with for far too long. So we have to have accountability. There's a lot of agencies I like to audit. NYCHA's one of them. We're spending a fortune on these buildings. There's no elevators. There's mold. There's rats. There's people have holes in the ceiling, holes everywhere. It's terrible. And there's a lot of corruption. That's probably, we saw the story about a year ago, 50 people arrested for a lot of nepotism, fraud, corruption. A lot of funny business with those contracts. I've worked in an industry where we did federal, state, and local contracts. I've seen all the monkey business, the nonsense that happens. It's ugly, it's nasty, it has to be stopped. And like I said, if we don't change the trajectory and we keep allowing the radical left, socialist, communist, Marxists who don't only hate America, but they hate our city, because look what they've done to it. They defunded the police. How did that work out? Terrible. They're open to defund any uniform service. We don't have enough people. And soon it'll be, unfortunately, if this trajectory continues, in the very near future, it'll be the very rich and the very poor. That won't be the New York that we all, love and grew up. We used to be the greatest city in the world. And unfortunately, we've become a third world city. And I've been fortunate to live and travel around the world many times, and I can tell you, this has become in many, many ways in many, many areas of the city. We're in a third world city where these are the kind of activity, people, crimes, behavior that you're not accustomed to in the principal city of America, first great country. We shouldn't see this. We're not taking care of our veterans. The lunatics, the mentally ill people, the crazies on the subway, they're American people. These are not these people we imported, because they're all at the Roosevelt Hotel. They're all at another motel. They're in nice places. We're paying their transportation. We're educating their kids. We're doing their health care. What aren't we doing for them? We're doing everything for them. We have our own veterans in the street. We have our own, people who need substance problems and mental health and, medical care. And you walk on the subway and you know these are our people. They're American people. They're not these people that we've imported around the world and subsidized, whether they're just here for a free ride or even worse, the ones who've come here and they're terrorists. These gangs are terrorists. They rape, they pillage, they murder, they shoot police in broad daylight in Times Square. They're not afraid of anybody. And unfortunately, we have to stop this cashless bail that our disgraceful last governor, Andrew Cuomo, was the granddaddy of that. Sanctuary State, he's the champion of that, all his. He was nice enough to name a bridge after his late father, Mario, while there was a lot of other pressing issues in the state and the city that could have been attended to and that money could have been used for. And the city council, there's 51 of them. 45 of them, depending who, how you tally it, 43 of them are radical anti-American. They don't like democracy. They don't like capitalism. They don't love this country. They are socialist. They're communists. Look what anyone who defunds the police. What are you trying to kill us all? They've been slowly killing us. And The cops are demoralized. They've been neutered. They've been defunded. You look around now, and going back to even think to the Giuliani days, they wouldn't tolerate this. But now you see people on the street urinating, drinking, doing this, stealing. I mean, literally around the corner from my house is a Rite Aid. And I know the manager, he's a beautiful man, but he's a little man. He's not a big physical person. And they rob him every day. And they're about to close that store because they're tired of paying for New York. And we've already lost a Rite Aid across the street. We lost a CVS across Queens Boulevard. And it's not just my area, it's throughout Queens. A lot of these places, all the pharmacies are closing down. And I don't blame them. Can you blame them? These people will say, hell, go to South Carolina or Florida where the cops, are able to do their job and they put people in jail and they don't stab and beat up and spit on our employees and our customers. And now if you go to the pharmacy, just to get a toothpaste, I got to push the button now. And I was just in a pharmacy not too long ago, and I grabbed the lady's hand and said, I'm sorry, I can't let you go. She goes, I'm sorry. I said, I need like 10 things, and I just can't walk around and push the button and wait for you. Please come with me because it'll be quicker for both of us than me going to each aisle and ringing the button and waiting for you or your colleagues. So when you can't even get a bar of soap or a razor blade or anything, I mean, it's not a society that's sustainable. We got to do something. I'm up against some, entrenched, well-connected people that I believe one of those being funded by George Soros, I was told the other day. I don't know how true it is, but I wouldn't be surprised. He's funding DAs and everybody else. So we have to do something, and it's not just a comptroller. We got to change the mayor. We got to change the PA, the public advocate. We got to seriously get rid of most of the city council and all the boroughs. They're terrible, absolutely terrible. The majority, we have some good ones, but they're the minority, unfortunately. And we're dealing with, 51, 45, 42 of them are crazies. And everything that, all these policies they have hurt us. There's no good ideas. There's nothing that is productive. There's nothing that works. All their policies are broken. And we just can't go on this trajectory. So I decided to get into this race because I'm just tired of being sick and tired. And I'm tired of sitting with my relatives and my friends and my neighbors just talking, hey, everything's so bad, and seeing countless relatives leave. Countless neighbors put that for sale sign, adios, they're gone. Where'd they go? Florida, the same suspect states. And you can't blame them. And how many of us here have thought about leaving? I have, honestly. How many of us have no relatives, co-workers, neighbors who've left? Countless people. Businesses, countless. I mean, look at Queens. Look at any borough, the boarded up stores. Look at the Regal Park Mall. There's nobody left. All those stores are gone. There's, I think, only Marshalls and Burlington are left. Everybody else has left recently or in the last couple of years. So it's not sustainable. We have little storefronts that are open, all blacked out for rent. And then you have the big department stores that Macy's is closing on Queens Boulevard at the Queens Center. Who would have thought that all the millions of dollars of shoplifting would put them out of business? I'm being sarcastic, obviously, but we're losing grip.
Macy's is closing?
Macy's is closing, I heard, yes.
No, isn't it the backstage one?
I heard that one too. Backstage, yeah, the backstage one too, but somebody said the other one's closing too. And the furniture store, I think, is also closing or did already. So, I remember.
That's where I got my couch.
Yeah, me too. And I remember back in the day, the Macy's furniture place that the Red Lobster recently went out, that was all Macy's. Way back, when I was a lot younger, the whole building was Macy's, and then they went, to Queens Center. But it's just not sustainable. We can't expect mom and pops or corporate America to come to New York and invest on us when they're losing money. They're not able to get justice with the justice system. We arrest someone, and I joke around all the time, but it's true. You give them condoms, Mets tickets, and a Metro card and say, don't do it again. And they're out in a few hours. And what do? They push you in front of a train. They're stabbing people. They're shooting people. You get arrested with a gun. You're out the next hour. It's insane. You can, things that in the past a normal society would put bail on, now we let almost everybody out. And it's not just what they've done with the cashless bail reform. It's the activist judges. They just want to be activists, feel bad for the criminals, coddle the worst people in society, and they feel bad for them. They let them out. Now we're supposedly going to be closing Rikers Island, and we're going to build these mega prisons minus Staten Island, and Queens is getting one at Kew Gardens. I'm sure we've all driven by. We hear stories, how tall it'll be, whatever. I've heard it's going to be 40 stories, 20, nobody knows. So everyone's in the dark, but they're building. We know they're building. And what are we going to do? We're building college dorms where they're going to have nice laptops and these beautiful, almost like you're sending your kids up to Binghamton or something. You're going to have these nice chairs for their, so their spines are straight, put their feet up. They're going to have these great tablets and all kinds of technology. And we're going to close Rikers. Now, I'm not for closing Rikers. Does it need to be reformed and more humane and more modern? Sure, I don't want to see anyone hang themselves or die or whoever they are. We shouldn't have that. But I don't think the solution is going to the 4 boroughs minus Staten Island and putting mega prisons up that are stacked up. And the experts say that's not the way to control prisoners. You have to have a wide spread out like Rikers Island, not stack them up. So who wants to close Rikers Island? The Democrats, most of them. Now, I don't want to pick on all the Democrats. There are a lot of Democrats out there who don't speak up, but they voted for Trump. They'll vote for me. They'll vote for Curtis. They'll vote for, the red ticket. They may not be loud and proud, but they'll vote. So we don't want to alienate all of them, but the Democrats have long gone from the party of Kennedy, in my opinion, who I think, never been a Democrat in my life, but I believe he was the last Democrat who really loved the country, in my opinion. And he probably paid the price with his life for that. So my point is, something has to be done, and I don't have a vote as a comptroller, but what I can do is audit the hell out of all of these agencies and see where the money's going, and we're gonna find a lot of nasty stuff. The MTA, NYCHA, you just throw a dart at the wall where all this money's going, and there's a lot of waste, a lot of fraud, a lot of incompetence, but at the end of the day, that equals a loss to the citizens. We lose our money. And folks in the private sector don't have that luxury to waste money. I'm actually being sarcastic, but why do we allow those folks in power who are elected people, who even trusted, or some of us have voted for and trusted, to balance, hold our money, and they're wasting it? And where's the money going? Illegal aliens. We're subsidizing international gangs. I mean, you can't go anywhere in Queens and not see the hotels. They're overrun. It's horrible. But yet we have not enough places for our veterans, for our own people, but we're subsidizing all these people. And unfortunately, you can't have that many people come to one country and assimilate quickly. And a lot of them didn't come here to assimilate. They came in to cause trouble. They came in for economic reasons. But then they get a handout from one of these, ACL, these liberal lawyers, asylum. We know it's nonsense. Minus a few places in the world that are having a civil war, maybe the Congo in Africa or Ukraine or somewhere in the Middle East, sure. But most of those people are not being persecuted by their government. They're here for economic reasons or nefarious reasons because they're running international drug, human trafficking. So look at Roosevelt Avenue. Now, I've been living in Regal Park my whole life, almost 50 years, and I'm very street smart. And it's never been a secret. You go to Roosevelt Avenue, you have money, you can buy pretty much whatever you want. If you have the money, someone will come back under that L and bring it to you. Now you can buy children, women, men, guns, fake passports, fake social security cards, fake IDs. And my team and I have spent countless nights walking around from the break of dawn, and I can tell you, prostitute in the daytime, right near schools. We went to one gentleman that we know who unfortunately has a door right on Roosevelt Avenue, and there were 2 bordellos, and he's a community activist who handles families and children. So while the parents are coming in with their little kids, prostitutes and the Johns are coming up and down the steps, and he's in the middle. No joke. Now, I don't know if that's changed since then. We haven't been there in a little while, but nonetheless, when he called us to take a look at it, I said, wow, I had to see it for myself. And he goes, this is what I'm dealing with, Peter. And, it's just something has to give. So I'm up against, like I said, some well-funded people. I heard a rumor Soros is funding Levine. I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of other well-off people that are going to fund them too and have bad intentions. So if anybody can donate, help us out, because we're up against, a lot of bad guys with a lot more here than we have right now. So we need some money to counter them as well, unfortunately. New York's expensive to run ads and do stuff. Even though we do have our own media channel, we still have to compete with the nefarious guys with super deep pockets that we don't have. So everything counts. Whatever anyone could spare, we greatly appreciate it. And look, we have to do something. If we allow Cuomo to come back or Adams to come back, Levine for comptroller, Brennan, flip a coin. You have a socialist and a communist. What's worse? I don't know. So we've got to find people that want to do the right thing, and we have to find people that have real world experience like I do. You can't just hire people or vote for people. Hey, I like him, I like her. That hasn't got us, too far. We don't need, now we're going to see very soon, and I predicted this years ago, AOC will challenge Chuck Schumer and most likely take his seat. Sad to say. How she gets elected, how people vote for, I don't know. I would never vote for her. She's not in my district anyway, but she's nuts. So we have all of these, we have Caban, we have AOC. It just gets worse and worse just down the list, and none of these people are going to do anything that's going to help us, our families, our children, our grandchildren. And we've got to do something because, look, New York's in a very, very, very precarious place right now. We're on the brink of collapse, in my opinion, because when I met with those supervisors, the white shirts and the detectives with the lieutenants and the police and the captains, and one gentleman said, well, Peter, I'm very worried about my pension, and I'm hearing that some of these elected officials are going to borrow some of that money and invest it here, and then they'll get a return on their investment and put it back. And he says, what do you have to say to me? Because I only need my pension. And I said, I would say the same thing that I would say to my school teacher, retired mother, who gave 31 years of her life in my community at the same school, that if you worked your job, you have to have that pension has to be met. That's it. If we made a deal with sanitation, teachers, cops, we have to honor that, because we will never hire any other civil servants again, because they're going to say, well, I'm not going to get screwed like everybody else. So you have to keep that. We have to think about finding the money. And the gentleman asked me too, one of the supervisors in the union, well, where are we going to find the money? And I laughed, but not to be disrespectful. And I said, that's easy. We've got all this money for these illegals, for all these hotels, like the Roosevelt Hotel, hundreds of millions of dollars in renovations. Not one tourist has set foot. But we've let gangs take over and grow there. The same little stick-up kids, 11, 12 years old with pistols, robbing people in Central Park, New Yorkers and tourists alike. And we've subsidized this. We've allowed these scooter gangs to raise havoc and hell throughout, especially Queens. I personally know people who've been hit and hospitalized by them, not just in Queens, in Manhattan, all over the place. And unfortunately, I believe now we're starting to see a little bit more enforcement, because Mayor Adams wants to show that he's tough and he's hard on crime. But I think it's just a front, because it should have been done years ago.
Yes.
You can't allow these crazy people to ride on the sidewalk. You can't allow these people to snatch purses.
It's not enforced, though.
It's not enforced. But,
Then why is that?
well, because those who run the city, like the mayor, it comes from the top down. The buck stops with him, right? He runs the city. If he wants the cops to do something, or any other agency, he's going to say, you're going to do this, and they're going to follow his orders. But he's not saying that. You can't, they're only doing it recently, and I believe it's a photo op for him. It's some propaganda to show he's tough, he's doing something. But, and I'll be honest, a couple of years ago, we had a different commander in my precinct, and they put something on Twitter. We got a bike off the street, and I'm like, one scooter, I could find 100 of them just going 2 blocks from my house. Blindly, I could find them. So we have to prioritize what's going on, and the quality of life stuff, the little things that, what do they call the broken windows stuff. Can't have crazy kids, crazy adults. Now they put little kids without helmets. They take them to school. See it by my house every day. Kids this big, they're driving around on little scooters, no plates, no registration, no insurance. But for those of us who drive, if we were driving around without plates, insurance, we'd probably get stopped. We'd probably get some tickets, and we might go to jail. And we have a war on cars also that we have to be aware of. The bicycle lanes is part of the city of yes, the city of mess, as I call it. Right. And we're seeing all these monstrosities go up, glass, metal buildings, everywhere you go. I personally feel, some people have argued with me, I'm personally going to say I believe Queens and the Bronx and Brooklyn have gotten the brunt of it. I have a friend in the Bronx that feels the Bronx got the brunt of it. We're all suffering, but I think Queens has really, really got a lot of these developers who donated to Mr. Adams. Right. And the city of yes says, yes, do whatever you want. And now we see the batteries. What about these lithium-ion batteries? We were at a protest in Middle Village recently. We have another one in the Bronx we're going to this weekend. And they're putting it right off the end of Penelope. The school's right here. There's 1,000 children in elementary school. And you're putting these batteries that a little one on a scooter, the fire department takes forever to put them out. They could burn the blocks down. Yet we're going to have some that could be the size of that table, the size of a SUV, the size of a school bus. We don't know. Could be hundreds of them. And the company that is purchasing it, they're very shrewd. Instead of going into industrial areas, they're going into residential areas. Why? The real estate's cheaper. So they're snatching up the real estate at a discount. And when we were at the last one, I believe Curtis had said that he contacted them, and the same people who are the spokespeople, the PR, if you will, agency for Andrew Cuomo, represent the ion battery people. Oh, what a surprise. So it's something that the shelters are one thing, and I call it engineered insanity. We did this to, not us, but our leaders, if you want to call them that, did this to us. This wasn't an accident. We didn't get here yesterday. But when does it end? We have to get rid of these people, especially the bad ones first. And, we have our social media channel for those, Queen's Voice, QNS Voice, and I put out a few videos every day, and I did a piece recently about some of these heinous people that we sent to a lovely place in El Salvador called hell. It's called the Terrorist Confinement Center. You go in there, you die. There's a 100-year sentence or more. No one walks out. They get pulled out in a body bag when they die. They make enemy gangs go together. No pillows, no bed, no cushion. They make the enemies go together. They keep the lights on. They're treated harshly. But who would have thought El Salvador, one of the most dangerous countries in the hemisphere of the world just a few years ago, now it's one of the safest places. And now Costa Rica sent their top law enforcement person to go there, because now all the other countries are having these gangs go there, and they're trying to emulate it. The last president in Brazil, who hopefully will come back, Bolsonaro, he wants to do that too for the gangs in his country. And I think what you're going to see in the next 5 years or less, you're going to see all of these countries in the Americas that have these gangs, these factions, these cartels, they're going to create these, these terrorist confinement centers. That's what these people are. They're terrorists. They rape, pillage, poison us kids and us with fentanyl, with drugs. They steal, they shoot at uniformed police in the daytime. So if they would, and I always say that, if they're brave enough to shoot at the cops in broad daylight in Times Square, what would they not do to any of us? And then you have our by accident governor, I like to call her hapless hokel. And after that poor woman in Coney Island got set alive and nobody did nothing but make video of her, she went on the train the next day, tone deaf, with a state police guard detail with pistols to protect her. Well, I'm the governor. You should take the train. I did for one stop with an armed detail for a photo op.
So brave.
And they gaslight us, yeah. And Adams has done the same thing, to be fair, many times. And, Comrade Bill did that too, when people were getting slashed and have scalding acid thrown on their face and pushed in front of subways and killed and lose limbs. He did the same thing. Well, look, I'm here and I'm the mayor. Well, we don't all have the luxury, none of us here anyway, I don't believe, have the luxury of having 10 armed law enforcement persons protect them and take them for a photo op on the subway and clear out the whole place ahead of time, with almost like a little mini Secret Service. So we have to be cognizant. We're being gaslit. These folks want to destroy not only the country, they want to destroy the city, and they have, for the most part. We have to do something. It's not a sustainable life that we're going to have here. No matter who you are, where you live, Queens, outside of Queens, no matter what your age is, your kids, your grandkids, yourself, the future looks bleak if we don't do something, and if we don't change those who are dictating the trajectory of the city. No matter where you live, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island, Manhattan, we have to do better. We can do better, but if we let these left-wing radical lunatics take this election again, I don't know how much will be left of the city. We'll have no cops left, almost none. We're losing them by the dozens every day. We'll have no firemen probably left, or they'll defund them, and who knows. We're not going to be able to pick up our trash. We have mandates put on us with this composting. It's just an excuse to put a ticket on our house. It's going in the same truck. Spoke to someone the other day who's retired sanitation. He said, Peter, it's all BS. It's all for this. And we know that. And I don't mind recycling. I do my part. I'm sure most of us do. But the compost, now I have to take banana peels and this and it's just so stupid. So this is what we're spending our energy on, our elected officials, to trick us into these mandates. And look, we talk to businesses. There's a business we're going to try to do a story on. Someone asked us to do. He owns 2 businesses in Forest Hills. They put a porta potty in front of the man's door to his restaurant.
White Radish.
White Radish. I think he owns Cheddar as well. Yes.
That was on New York 1.
Correct, Mr. Singh. So I have a friend of mine who asked me to cover it. We're going to try to cover it this week or next week. But he's broke, his life savings. He's creating jobs, indirect and direct. He's paying taxes, bettering the community. And now the Long Island Railroad or DOT, whoever these guys, plopped a porta potty right in front of his door where people are going to eat. I mean, not really appetizing. You got a construction porta potty, and we know they don't really clean those a lot. And you're going in for a meal, like you're probably going to want to go somewhere else. So we're scaring businesses away. When I went to see the cops as well, the supervisors, one of them is very concerned. He said one of the big firms is threatening to move to Texas. And we know a lot of them already left to Florida, many of them. And if you go downtown, and unfortunately we go all over the place, so we cover it, it's a ghost town. You could not walk on the sidewalk years ago. No, we got the whole sidewalk to ourselves. There's nobody there. A lot of places in Manhattan, there's nobody working there anymore. They want to turn those office buildings into apartments. Well, that's code word for shelters. That's what Adam wants to do. I say no. We have to do a better job. And if we don't, I know a few of us were talking earlier, a lot of people last election didn't get off their ass and vote. Unfortunately, and a small percentage of our population decides to vote one way or the other. If we're all going to, not all of us, but a lot of us are going to stay home and miss the boat, we have to tell our neighbors, our friends, our coworkers, get up and vote. We gotta do something, because sitting on our hands idly and missing elections is not going to do us well. And I believe this election, we can continue the red wave if we just get our message out to these people. Nobody in New York is going to look you now and say, I'm happy with the way the city is. I mean, unless they're crazy. No one's going to say, yes, I'm happy. So we've got to work with those people. Look, I'm not trying to change anyone's registration on their voting card. I don't care what it says. But there are a lot of those people who are not loud and proud, but they're moderates, and they'll vote for us. They'll vote for folks up and down the red because they see what these folks in the Democrats have been hijacked by the radical left. There's no other way to say it. Communists, Marxists, socialists, everything they do is anti-New York, anti-American, open borders, no police, they don't want a military, they don't want anybody. Now they want to have, I believe it was another radical butte, Jermani Williams. Now he wants to have community activists arrive for 911, not the police. So while they're stabbing and shooting up a whole bunch of people, we'll send some unarmed people to pacify them with their beautiful language skills and tones. How's that going to work out?
Not too bad.
It's a pipe dream. So,
And the other guy, Marandi,
oh yeah.
he wants the government to take over the supermarkets.
Good, I'm glad you brought that up. So I think that's called North Korea last time I checked. Soviet Union.
Something like that.
Yeah, so, we're gonna have what, government cheese? I mean, no thanks. I don't want it. I mean, yeah, he wants that. So these are the radical people with their, and here's a scary part. They're not pretending that they're not radical. They're telling you, I want to defund the police, open borders, and what just happened recently, guys? Thank God it wasn't a crazy activist judge, but they just shot down New York City. No, if you're a non-citizen, you're not voting. You're not voting in a city election, you're not voting in a state, and you're not damn well voting in a federal election. But these people have brought them here. It's not an accident. They want to change the dynamics of this country. And if you watch all the interviews, we've also that one video, the guy from Haiti, I love you, Biden, F Trump, yeah, he's getting deported. So these are the people they want to give them voting rights because they're going to blindly vote for them because they brought them here, subsidized them, given them everything, and they haven't worked for it. They haven't earned it. They're not like the forefathers of our families who came here, and they came here for the right reason, to assimilate. We have so many people alone in this city. I don't believe it's 8.2 million. It's probably close to 10, 11 million, maybe 12. Impossible. There's no way it's 8.2 million. Impossible. So look, a lot of them have been deported. A lot of them are self-deported. But we still have a lot of people here. And not too far from here, we could drive and find a lot of activity in almost any neighborhood. We can go into these Roosevelt Avenue, Queens Boulevard. I mean, any borough, there's hot spots, but there's a lot of stuff going on. We have to stop it. We're trafficking men, women, and children at a rate that, I mean, the Democrats became the biggest pimps in the world. They're trafficking these men, women, children. And when you can go to Roosevelt Avenue and buy a person in broad daylight, it's unfathomable what society has become in the city. How we went from just a few mayors ago, this wouldn't be tolerated, to now, everything's tolerated. I mean, you can shoot people, shoot cops, and be out the next day with cashless bail. It's crazy. We have people who've got 55, 25, 15, 35, and they're still out on the streets. And then now we just put ICE back on Rikers Island, but only because somebody's got somebody by the you-know-what, and he's trying to look good. But, I mean, how do we tell our city agencies don't cooperate with ICE? We have child molesters, rapists, killers. No, let them go. Don't call ICE. Leave them alone. I mean, this is a ludicrous world we live in, and our public safety is going to only be at a greater risk because the bad guys are emboldened. There's no consequences. Most of them don't get locked up or locked up too long. It's, a revolving system. And we'll have a story out soon. We haven't released it. There was a illegal alien from Mexico. 40th time he just got deported the last week. 40. 4-0. Not 4. 4-0. So, and he wasn't just a migrant who came here to work at a supermarket or wash dishes. He was a criminal. Forgery, assault, I forgot but long list of charges. He wasn't an upstanding immigrant. And it's infuriating, but listen, we have to also grow this party. If we don't look to the Latinos and the Asian people, we're not going to grow this party. And we have to make a concisive effort to grow this party because this is the party of the white and the blue collar workers. This is the party of inclusion. The Democrats are not. And this is the party of Abraham Lincoln. We freed the slaves. Look at Joe Biden. He gave the eulogy for a grand wizard of the KKK and Mr. Byrd, Senator Byrd. Right. And when I tell people, oh, you're full of it. And when they look it up online, holy, you know what? They can't believe it. I tell the younger people, and they look at me and they're like, oh my God, Peter. And I said, it's actual facts. That's the truth. So we have to also protect our image. We can't let the fake news, the legacy media tarnish us and say we're this, we're that. No, we're the good ones. But if we stay quiet and we stay silent and we don't get active and we don't support the candidates and we don't donate and we don't go to rallies and we don't come to these events like here and we don't have fellow patriots care about what's happening in this city, the city's doomed. Like, this is the principal city and the largest city in the country for not only domestic and international tourism, but investment both abroad and our own American investors. And you go to Manhattan, you trip over a crackhead, you trip over a guy with a needle in his arm. We give them crack pipes, we give them lip balm, we give them needles. But our kids don't get taken care of in some of the schools, and we don't have seniors and our veterans are sleeping on the street. What kind of society is this? So we have to all look in the mirror and say, what can we do to do something better? Because I could have stayed in the private sector made a lot more money and it'd be a lot less stress and I could work with people and, good people, professional people. I just got tired of being sick and tired. That's why I decided to jump in here and go against these crazy socialist radicals like Levine or Brennan, whoever I'm gonna face. So I don't shy away from a fight, but I need everybody's help here and throughout the city to not only make whatever donation you guys can, but to vote and get all the, if everybody here brought 4 or 5 people to that poll station or had them vote early or absentee ballot, we could probably overthrow the radical left here, fix the trajectory of this city. And I think if we can change these lunatics here in New York City, then next year we change the swamp in Albany and we get rid of hapless Hochul, we get rid of all the trash over there, and we can fix this city. And then hopefully other crazy places like Chicago, where they have more people killed in the height of combat in Iraq or Afghanistan, or places like California where they have no water and the whole state burns down because they have no water, they cut the fire. I mean, it's just ludicrous. So we all have to be cognizant of what's happening, but New York can do better. It used to be, honestly, the greatest city in the world. Really, it was. And now, it's not a great city, unfortunately. It's not a safe city. It's not sustainable. It's become very troubled, to say the least. I'll be charitable and say troubled. So we've got to keep pushing on, guys, and we got to get their vote up and down red. We've got to keep the red wave going. And if we know some folks who are Democrats, but they're moderate, maybe they're Kennedy Democrats, or they're not radical social, they love America, but they don't want to see this happen. We got to get those folks to help us too, because there's far more of them, at least registered on their cards in New York, than there are us, whether you're Republican or conservative. So we've got to bring these people in. We got to bring the Latinos in. We got to bring the Asians in more, because those are the people who are going to help us bring the party. And we also have to, and I was just at an event recently. We were in, I forgot where we were, forgive me, we do events so much now, but we were just there, and I'm not getting any younger. Nobody's getting any younger, but there was, one gentleman was a friend of ours, and he brought his niece and his nephew. They were there 21, 24. We got to start bringing young people. We have to. If it's just, folks 50 and up, 55 and up, we're not going to be around forever, but we got to bring the younger people in, because if we don't, no one's going to carry the torch, and this party will completely erode in the city, unfortunately. So we got to be cognitive to bring in young people behind us, or there'll be nobody left. One day we're not all going to be here, unfortunately. So if we don't have somebody behind us and grow this party, we're not going to succeed. But I think this year, I'm very optimistic. I think a lot of people, if not everybody, who's not a lunatic in the city, I think most of us are pragmatic and sane, are not happy with what's going on. We want to change it. We don't want to feel that we could be killed, murdered, and raped walking out of our house. We don't want to get hit by a scooter. We don't want to see police get shot in broad daylight. We don't want to see our stores closed because of looters. We don't want to see this craziness. So we have a very good chance this November, if we speak to everyone and just keep speaking up and keep engaging everybody, we could continue the red wave that Trump did last election. I really do believe in my heart we could do that. But it's going to take a unified effort. Not just you guys, not just me, not just my team, but we've got to work with all the clubs throughout the city. We have to start, working with everybody for the good of everybody, because I really feel we have an opportunity here that we're probably not going to see another Trump in our generation, someone who wins 3 elections, but he won 2 officially, right? We're probably never going to see a movement like that again, so we have to capitalize that. So I hope everybody can help us out in any way, and I hope everyone will help the cause for the greater Republican Party and conservatives. Bring everybody out. We got to vote, guys. And I really appreciate everybody coming tonight. Any questions, please ask me.
You see them, I see them, we all see them. There's a lot of mentally ill people walking up and down the street. And a lot of them are dangerous. A lot of them maybe not so much, but they're taking care of these folks costs a lot of money. And as controller, how would you deal with this?
Sure. So look, there's a lot of pushback right now within City Hall and the City Council, and also up in Albany, about the police and the authorities and mental professionals that would be able to force some of these people who are a danger to us and themselves and put them in a Creedmoor or a Bellevue, something like that. So we have to get the legislators. As a comptroller, I don't have a vote, but I'll work with anybody across the aisle. I've worked with plenty of Democrats fighting shelters. I don't consider them radicals. A lot of them are my friends. And I've worked with a lot of Republicans and conservatives. But if we don't have folks in the City Council and up in Albany who are going to put those things in and get the votes, then it doesn't matter if we have 100 or 1 lunatic. If we can't commit them somewhere, and we just keep letting them out, and they're stabbing you again, shooting you again, throwing you in front of a train, nothing's going to change. It's only going to get worse. So as comptroller, I'll make sure that I work with those folks and try to get a coalition, say, yes, we need to create a program. And it's not gonna be Mental Thrive. And I just wanna touch on that real quick. So that was Comrade Bill, our last mayor, and our former First Lady, Miss Charlene McCray, who wasn't a mental health expert, wasn't a nurse, wasn't anything medical. He gave her $1 billion+ of our tax money. $1 billion+ US dollars. That's a lot of money that we could help a lot of citizens in this, probably fix a lot of the mess we're in, right? Nobody audits it. Past comptroller, current past administration. No, I don't hear anybody saying, hey, we just lost $1 billion+. And to answer your question directly, those folks that we see on the streets, in the subways, they're Americans. They're not these people we brought in from other countries who hopped the border or jumped a fence or a wall. There are people, and they're getting left in the cold. And then as a result, we're in danger because no one's able to forcefully put one of those, get them on their meds, get them evaluated, get them medical, mental health.
Would you build hospitals?
I would.
You would?
And I would, not only that, I would build them and I would work on fixing the existing ones we have and maybe add some capacity, maybe put out something where we can hire more professionals, nurses, psychologists, who can deal with these people, because if not, it's only gonna get worse. A lot of them are off the meds, or they're using drugs, or they're drinking, or everything, and they're not stable to begin with. And we see what happens. They hit little kids in carriages, they stab people, they assault women. Our women aren't safe, our little kids aren't safe. I got a 6-year-old daughter, I got a mom, I got a wife. My wife comes home late a lot on the subway, she works downtown. I can't pick her every night because I got the little one. But, you know, she has how many men pull out their privates? Not when she's just alone, but the whole car could be filled with people. And they just have no shame, and they're lunatics, and they're perverts, and they're sick people. And we have to do something. And we know that we're even being gaslighted today, saying they're putting 2 cops on every train overnight. My wife barely sees them. And I'm not blaming the cops, but if you don't have enough soldiers to put on the battlefield, don't tell us that. We know they don't have them. We know the 114th precinct, they took 75, we read recently, to put them on the MTA overnight. Other precincts are complaining. So they're pulling them, but those other neighborhoods are gonna suffer now. So they're putting them on the subway, and then we hear how crime is down. Well, I mean, what are we supposed to have it keep going up and up? So we have to find the money, and I think the money's there, because just think about how much money we've subsidized illegal aliens, illegal alien criminal again. We're probably not gonna know unless the red team wins and I get in there. They're never gonna give it. They're all gonna BS us and never tell us the real numbers. But I get in there, I'm gonna show everyone the paper, and I'm gonna use the bully pulpit and shame everybody, say, here's the real number, because we know it's all BS. They say 10 billion, it's 20 times more, 100 times more. We know that. So we have to find out where we're spending the money. And like I said, when those police unions asked me, where are you gonna find the money? And I laughed, not to be disrespectful, because I already know where the money is. If we have all this money for these illegals, we damn well have the money for our people. Our crazy people who need the help on the train, our veterans, our kids, our disabled, our seniors. We have the money. Our road, look at our roads. Our roads are horrible. I've been to third world countries that have better streets than this. It's terrible. And it's not just, it's every neighborhood, every borough, potholes. It looks like a bomb went off, like they were carpet bombed by B-52s. It's terrible. So we've got to do a lot better. But if we don't allocate the resources to help those mentally ill people, and we don't get people to sign laws that we can physically have the police or whoever's going to be designated, not community active, and put these people by force if needed for their own good, for our own good, it's only going to get worse. And it's, and I hope that's a good answer, but it's only going to get worse if we don't get the money and sign those bills to do it. Tough love, yeah.
Is it all talk that Hochul says that she's going to help write a bill to help the mentally ill over 18 be evaluated to see if they need medication and therapy, etc.? We have a lot of major problems, and especially, after COVID, so many people, so many criminals were released from Rikers Island and were put in our homeless shelters. And we have a similar problem that you have in your neighborhood, right here in Glendale. We have a 200-man homeless shelter with the number 109 are employed, but there are 91 that, due to the HAPA, the what do you call it, the laws?
It's all a lot of, they fall between the cracks as loopholes.
West Hab, the agency who runs several of these homeless
guess,
shelters,
a nonprofit.
the HEPA laws, protects them from not telling us which one of these 91 are drug addicts, alcoholics, and mentally ill.
Well, I can tell you one thing.
In the meantime, it's frustrating because the president of Glendale Civic Association says that, those meetings that we had every other month with them, for the last 5 years since
Fluff.
it's open.
It's a lot of fluff.
It's all fluff, it's all public relations. So it doesn't get us anywhere because they yes us to death.
Well, I have a solution, and I can't do it alone.
And I've asked them, as Catholic charity, have you asked them if they want help from Catholic charities? I actually asked the assemblywoman if she could help because she's buddy with Adams, so.
Yeah, you know the
we'll
answer
see.
already.
We'll see if that goes anywhere,
Sure.
but there are bills in Congress that help with social services, but where's the federal money right now? That's the problem.
Well, look, good question, Kathy, and it's a two-pronged approach. So look, we know that the federal government now is gonna start clawing back money for sanctuary cities and states like, unfortunately, we inhabit right now. And unfortunately, it might take someone who wants to hurt folks here to get folks who vote and say, hey, I'm tired of this, let's vote for somebody else. So it might be a little pain in the beginning, but it might be a little tough love, right? Now, what I say is this: if you are a hotel, a franchise in particular, if you allow one of your franchisees, or it's a corporate-owned building, and you allow it to become a homeless shelter, a migrant, whatever you want to call it, you're not allowed to do business in New York City. I would love to have somebody with some, you know what, put that in writing and have some people in the government write that, because then there's no incentive for these chains. And most of them are chains, some of them are mom and pops, but if you create a law that says you're here for citizens, coming in, they're traveling, they're visiting whoever, business, vacation, not illegal aliens, not halfway houses for criminals from upstate or from Rikers Island, wherever they're from. So if we had people with a backbone, and hopefully we will this cycle, and we can create some kind of legislation to put these hotels, whether they're mom and pops or corps on notice, hey, we're not gonna tolerate this anymore. You're here for the citizens, you're not here as a flop house. If we could do that, it might be a little harsh, but it would pretty much force them to conform. Because now if you come to New York, where are all these, like they say, the tourism, where the hell are these tourists staying? Everything's a migrant or a homeless shelter. Where are they staying? I mean, I don't know any hotel off the top of my head that I could think of that hasn't been converted in Queens. I mean,
Bad.
it's
really
horrible. Look at the Pan American Hotel.
bad. You're right.
Was the creme de la creme years ago of Queens, you know, steakhouse, a nice bar, a nightclub. Look at what they did to that place. Look what they've done to Regal Park. And, you know, we can go on a hillside in 188th. Now it thinned out because I believe Trump thinned it out. But my team and I were over there a few weeks ago, and we used to see 400 men. Now there's 3 or 4 of them, but you still see all the trailers back there. So here's the disgusting part I have. We go out of our way with these trailers and all these benefits, if you will, and we have our own citizens that have natural disasters. They don't get treated that well.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's here or another city or state. So we have all this priorities that are unfortunately backwards, where we have to get elected officials who are gonna put us first and put our tax dollars first. So if we don't have public safety, we don't have fiscal responsibility, and we're not putting the citizens first, what's gonna be left of the city? And unfortunately, for a long time already, the majority of the folks that are elected in this city, no matter what position, are counter to what we need done, to safety, to fiscal responsibility, to accountability. There's no accountability. Just do whatever you want, and we have to accept it and take it on the teeth, if you will, as citizens, as taxpayers. I plan on having those days over. When I become the comptroller, those days are over. We're gonna be transparent. We're gonna audit the hell out of everybody. And we're gonna share we're not gonna hide it and say, oh, we're gonna share with the public, and then we're gonna work with folks who do have the power of the pen, so to speak, who can sign laws. There's some good city council people, obviously. Most of them are horrible, but hopefully this next wave will keep the good ones and add some good ones. And we have to find people that we can work with who have our interests at heart. All of these policies, all of what's happening, our interests are not in the forefront. They're just not. They're putting everyone else ahead of us, and we're going broke because we're subsidizing others, and they shouldn't even be here. So, you know, I had somebody tell me recently, oh, you don't like immigrants. No, my wife's an immigrant, but she didn't jump a fence and she didn't crawl over a wall, and she happens to come from South America.
Exactly.
So I love Latino people. I'm not anti-Latino. My wife's a Latina. But my wife came in the right way. She didn't jump, she got in line. It's an expensive, arduous process.
That's what I say about my brother-in-law.
Yeah. And listen, my great-grandparents came here, and they stopped at a place called Ellis Island on those old boats, and
Exactly.
they had to have their papers, and they came with their little, bags and their little suitcases and the chest back then. But we have to basically make it where we're bringing people here who are going to add value. Now, I'm not saying everybody who comes here has to be a scientist or a doctor. You can come here and wash dishes, wash cars. Everybody can add value. You have to come in the right way. You can't cut the line, and you can't disrespect generation upon generation. People came in the right way to assimilate and do the right thing. And you can't have these people spit on everybody's face and say, well, I cut the line and I'm taking everything. And that's what's happening now. And we should all be livid. My wife is livid. I know plenty of people who came here from other countries. No one's happy. I don't know anyone who came here legally who immigrated who's happy with what's happening. They're all disgusted. And I'm disgusted. And we all should be disgusted. And we have to do something. It's not sustainable. We cannot have all these. And look, unfortunately, many of them have come to our city. You know, this is where a lot of them have come to. Whether they're here just to work or they're here on criminal, mission, if you will. So we got to be careful who we're letting in, and it's not sustainable. We can't have millions and who is it, 20, 50? We don't even know the real number. Could be 20 million or more. We don't know. Nobody knows. And another thing I was watching a podcast recently. As an ex-CIA operative, a woman who was on a lot of shows, and she says, I'm so happy all these mass deportations with the criminal gangs and all this other stuff, but we have at least 1,000 military-trained terrorists that we know have slipped to this country. Who's going after them? So when you open up the border, unfortunately, it's not just migrants coming here or illegals coming here for a free ride. There's some bad apples coming in here that would like to do a hell of a lot worse than, unfortunately, some of the people who are doing to us now. So we have to be cognitive of, you can't have an open border. We can't have a government, city or state or federal, that's allowing people to break the law and assisting them every which way. And it's just not sustainable. Look at the state we're in right now. I've lived in New York my whole life, and I think this is the most dangerous time I've been in, personally. And look, I've traveled the world. I've been fortunate. I've lived abroad. I've been to a lot of places. And when I go to other places, they're like, and I'm like, it's just like here. Same thing. It's just like here. So we have to do better, and we can do better. But if we don't all support everyone with this red wave in every way we can, and vote, and donate and push people to vote and everything we can with all our muscle and might, we're not going to have a city. So I believe this is a perfect opportunity, not only for us conservatives and Republicans, but there's plenty of folks with independents and Democrats, and they're not lunatics, and they're not all socialists. There's plenty who are, they may not be loud, but they will vote. So we have to let those folks know, go out and vote, because if we just count on folks who have an R or a C on their card, we're not going to win any election here. We're just not. We have to be realistic. We need those folks who are moderate Democrats, who are moderate independents, who don't hate America, who aren't socialists, who love democracy, who love capitalism. Those are our neighbors, friends, maybe family, coworkers, depending on everyone's situation, that we have to bring into the fold. And I don't try to take anyone and change their registration card. No, but go vote for the right side. No pun intended. Vote for the right people who are going to do the right thing, because the road we're going on, we're headed off a cliff. And if we don't do something, I don't know honestly how many more election cycles the city can take. And if you see the folks now who are looking to replace Dictator Adams, and I'm not just talking about Mr. Cuomo, one is worse than the next. They're going to make either Cuomo or Adams look like Ronald Reagan. And that's scary to say. They're going to make him look like this great man. And that's scary to think that they're so radical and so wicked and evil that they're going to make Adams look like a conservative, like Ronald Reagan, who was a great president. So we have to be cognitive of what is lurking in the shadows. They're going to make the current maniacs we have look like altar boys, and we can't afford that. We just can't. We won't have a city left.
I would like to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
I was on the bus today, and there was a sign that said that if, I don't know what department it was, comes to your door, you don't have to let them in, because say your son or daughter was a criminal or has drugs, they're not allowed to examine or check their pockets, what they have.
I believe that's
There's 4 things that was listed. You don't have to let them open, because they're afraid that they're gonna take the child away.
Of course.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
But this goes liberal wacko lawyers who make money off these people to get them through the immigration process. They coach them what to say, and we've all seen the stories, and we've heard them say, what AOC's in a lot of trouble now. She may be facing from charge. Remember, I'm just telling my constituents, but she said the same thing. Don't answer the door, don't talk to them, don't show them your ID, don't tell them, just ignore them, hide, don't talk to them, you don't have to talk to them. So we're having people who are supposed to be serving us, but they're not serving us. They're going against us. They're serving those who shouldn't be here. And I'm not saying all of them, but if you come here illegally, I'm sorry, you're a criminal. You've broken the law.
Yeah.
There's a law for a reason. I'm not saying they're the worst, criminal like child molesters and killers, but we have plenty of those, unfortunately. So, to your point, Miss, it's just sad when we have our own government, some people, and we have some of these liberal organizations, a lot of them are taxpayer funded, surprise, surprise, that are helping these people to escape ICE or escape law enforcement or avoid being picked up or deported. So it's a big problem. And unless we get new people here and change laws and say, hey, that's treasonous, you do that, you go to jail. I would be for it. Now, as a comptroller, I can't make the laws, but I would support it vocally and say, hey, if you come here and you aid and abet a criminal, you go to jail, right? They're illegal criminals, illegal alien. That person, whether you're an elected official, a lawyer, a nonprofit, or whoever you are, even the mayor or the governor, if you're going to do that and hinder the system and hinder people from being apprehended who shouldn't be here, you should go to jail and face charges. And if we don't get tough on the bad apples and bad actors, it's going to make what's happening now look like Mickey Mouse. It's terrible. So we've got to stop these crazy people from helping these other crazy people. I mean, we just have to stop it. And nobody in good conscience should be giving these people advice how to avoid the police, how to avoid ICE, and how to avoid detection when you're not supposed to be here. And that's a crime already. And a lot of these people, unfortunately, are worse than just being here illegally. They've done a lot of horrific, heinous things to us. How many murders, how many rapes, how many child molesters, how many looters? Like, when is it enough? One's enough, in my opinion. We've had thousands upon thousands upon thousands. It's enough already. So my point is, if we don't put our foot down and say enough's enough, nothing's going to change. Unfortunately. But great question. I'm glad you brought that up. It's a problem we have to address. Any other questions, guys? All right, well, thank you for having me.
Great, thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.